Here I have the Pixel 11 Pro XL and the starting price is $1,299. $1,299. Google wants you to believe this is the ultimate refined Android flagship, the brightest screen they have ever shipped, a brand new Tensor chip, a fancy new LED light on the back that they will not shut up about. But after getting it in hand and actually checking out the phone, things are a bit more complicated than they seem, and I'm not even talking about the cameras yet. There is of course a lot of good about this phone and a lot of just stupid stuff about this phone, stuff that genuinely doesn't make sense. So stick around because here's everything you need to know about the hardware side of the phone. I will also mention a couple things that they took away from us. Yeah, took away from us at this price point. Unboxing it is the standard modern experience. You get the phone, a USB-C cable, and some paperwork. No charging brick in the box, as expected. From the moment you pick this phone up, two things immediately jump out at you. First is the weight distribution. Even though this is an absolute tank of a phone with a massive footprint, Google managed the chassis remarkably well. It doesn't feel overly top heavy despite that distinctive camera visor spanning across the entire back of the phone. And by the way, I am working on a complete comparison video against last year's Pixel 10 Pro XL, so subscribe to be notified when that video drops, along with a comparison against the S26 Ultra and the upcoming iPhone 18 Pro Max. You won't want to miss it because those comparisons are going to be quite spicy. The flat side rails return this year with nice rounded corners. That basically means no razor sharp chamfers digging into your palm during one-handed texting. For a phone of this size, it makes a surprising difference in long sessions, especially when you're just, scrolling through your feeds or typing out messages on the couch. Okay, headline change on the back of the phone. Google got rid of the infrared temperature sensor that maybe 2.5 people on Earth actually used. I'm kidding. It was maybe 3 people. They had that thermometer since the Pixel 8 Pro, 3 generations, and now it's gone. Google confirmed it. No more temperature sensor on any Pixel 11. In its place, they built a dedicated rear multicolor LED. Google calls it the HiLight. No, it's not HiLight, it's HiLight. Now, when the leaks first, man, I can't stop laughing. I'm sorry. This is like the 5th time I'm trying to record this. It's really making me mad. Anyway, I'm just going to go with it. When the leaks first dropped, I was very excited because I was thinking to myself, oh, heck yes, dude, it's going to be like BlackBerry. You know, BlackBerry, they gave you a bunch of customizations when it came to notifications. Red for this, blue for that, yellow for this, blah, blah, blah for that, depending on the app. Well, don't get too excited. Because as of right now, Google, ooh, man, this is tough. Because as of right now, Google has locked this LED down to literally 2 functions. First, it pulses pretty multicolor gradients when talking to Gemini. It's listening, thinking, responding, face down on the table, talking to a robot, watching the area, glow. That is the use case number 1. And second, it lights up when you receive an incoming phone call from a contact in your favorites list. That's it. Like, that's literally it. No third-party app notifications, no, dedicated color for a specific contact that's texting you, no API that's coming out. Google even said it themselves that they're not giving API access to third-party developers. Maybe that'll change with backlash, but as of right now, they literally just said no. Building a dedicated hardware LED light that only serves 2 functions, one of which is letting you know when your mom is calling you, just seems like a massive wasted opportunity, especially once you consider a phone from 2006 gave you better notification control. Yeah, Google did say that this feature might be coming to Google Messages in the future, but my question is, hey, why not now? You increased the price by $100, gave us something that can only do 2 things, and it doesn't even talk to your very own Google app. It's not even tied into your first party app yet. So why not just tie it into there? In person, Canyon looks super clean, sophisticated, and it does a nice, fantastic job at resisting everyday fingerprint smudges thanks to that frosted matte rear glass. Now officially, it is the Corning Gorilla Glass Victus 2 on the back, silky matte with fingerprint resistant coating, and yeah, in hand it does feel pretty darn clean, I will give them that. The camera visor, of course, remains the undeniable identity of the Pixel lineup. Instead of a massive off-center camera bump like what Apple and Samsung do, Google keeps the centered horizontal island, and when you set this phone down flat on a desk, it doesn't wobble every time you tap the screen. So again, yeah, I will give them credit for that. You do get the full IP68 water and dust resistance, so sudden rainstorms or accidental drops in the toilet are not going to be a death sentence. Alright, so let's talk about the part that Google is not putting on a poster, because this is where $12.99 starts to feel kinda weird. So last year's Pixel 10 Pro XL started at $11.99 and this one is at $12.99, $100 more for the same size, same 6.8-inch footprint. And on the 256 gig starting model, you now get 12 gigabytes of RAM. Last year's Pro XL had 16 gigabytes of RAM across the board, every storage tier. So that means if you are picking up this phone, you're gonna have to get 512 gigs of storage or 1 terabyte of storage if you want that 16 gigs back into your pocket. So again, not only is the phone $100 more, but now you have to pay even more than the $100 more to get back something that you've had last year. Right. It's just a bit weird because Google keeps saying, you know, they're advertising more on-device AI and stuff like that, but that requires more RAM. More AI means more RAM. So giving us less RAM just feels weird. I mean, even the upcoming rumored iPhone 18, the base model iPhone 18 that's going to be coming out next year, it's going from 8 gigs of RAM to 12 gigabytes of RAM. So at least that's getting a bump in RAM along with a bump in price. But this is just like Pixel is doing the complete opposite. They bumped the price but lowered the RAM. Battery capacity also went down from 5200 milliamp hours to 5115 milliamp hours. And honestly, from my very limited time with this phone so far, I'm not really seeing like that big of a difference. I was a bit worried that I'm going to have less battery life, but honestly, I would say it's about the same as the Pixel 10 Pro XL, which kind of makes me sad because, like, yeah, the Tensor G6, the new Tensor G6 is more efficient, but imagine how much better the battery life would be if Google, in fact, upgraded the battery instead of downgrading it. Again, even every iPhone 18 model is going to have a battery upgrade. Even Samsung phones are now getting battery upgrades. Google went back. So just sit with that for a second. So what about the charging speed? Careful, because this one is a bit sneaky. The Pro XL still wants a 45 watt USB-C charger to hit Google's wired claims, same as last year. Wireless is still Pixelsnap Qi2.2 up to 25 watts, same peak numbers as the 10 Pro XL. However, the charging curve itself did change, so with the Pixel 10 Pro XL, a 30-minute charge will give you a 70% battery, and on the 11 Pro XL, a 30-minute charge will give you a 75% batteries. I mean, you know, a 5% difference, it's not that big of a deal, but, you know, it is something. Now let's talk about storage, because people might call this an upgrade, but it's not. The Pixel 11 lineup as a whole now starts at 256 gigs, no 128 gig option. Now for the Pro XL, that's actually not new because last year's 10 Pro XL also started at 256 gigs. But now if you get like the non-XL versions, you're also getting 256 gigs. So again, the Pro XL just seems like a whole lot of the same, but for $100 more. Whereas I think even the non-Pro XL, just the standard Pro, even the standard, just the Pixel 11 seems like the much better purchase. Okay, now moving on to the front of the phone, this is actually where it gets good. We have a 6.8-inch Super Actua LTPO OLED panel, smooth display from 1 to 120 Hz. Corning Gorilla Glass Victus 2 is on the front with Google's new anti-scratch shield. Google claims that the new coating is now 2 times more scratch resistant. I'm not going to believe them because I don't believe that from any manufacturer. Glass is glass, glass is going to scratch. please use a case, screen protector, whatever you want. You don't got to buy a very expensive fancy one. Just put something over your display because yes, no matter what Google says, it's gonna scratch. Spec wise, Google bumped the peak brightness from 3300 nits on the 10 Pro XL to 3600 nits on this 11 Pro XL. HDR brightness is up to 2400 nits, up from 2200 last year. Now, in the real world, side by side with last year's model under harsh direct lighting, the difference is subtle, very subtle. It is definitely, legible outdoors. The text remains crisp, contrast doesn't wash out. HDR footage looks amazing, but don't expect a night and day leap over last year. I would have liked the bezels to be a bit smaller also, especially at this price point, but hey, you can't get everything. The under-display fingerprint scanner returns and it remains fast, accurate, and reliable, so there are no issues there. In fact, I enjoy it. The one area where Android OEMs tend to kind of not really focus a lot about is the haptics. And I mean, I've said this before and I'll continue saying it, the haptics on Pixel phones rival that on the iPhone, the Taptic engine on the iPhone. It feels so good. Like every click is localized. Whenever you're scrolling through the UI, it just feels like the phone is kind of coming alive almost. It feels great. And in terms of just Android as a whole, I do believe Google Pixel makes the best haptics in any of the Android phones. Again, it even rivals that of the iPhone. So where exactly does this leave the hardware? Overall, the Pixel 11 Pro delivers on industrial design, the in-hand feel, and display performance, but the biggest new hardware gimmick definitely kind of leaves you wanting more. And the spec sheet has a couple of quiet step backs that I just can't pretend are not there. Now, the cameras, the Tensor G6, and just dailying the phone, that's going to be in my next video. I'm not going to be dumping a full camera review into a hardware walkthrough and calling it honest. But the photos do look really good. Stay tuned for the next video. If you enjoyed today's video, definitely click that like button. And if there's anything you want to know about the Pixel 11 Pro XL, definitely drop me a comment down below. And also, if you do want to pick this phone up, again, Google is running deals. So again, link down below, everything you need to know. And that's it. If you guys are a fan of no BS review videos, definitely subscribe because I keep it real. And as always, this was Mark from Mark's Tech. Adios.